Hello, hello, hello. I am looking here to see if I'm actually live. Yes. Okay, great. Hello, hello, hello. Next Level Docs. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Maisha, and I'm here to help you all, doctors and medical professionals, transform your mindset, um, leverage your skill set, and create a business and a career from passion and purpose. This is my first time streaming live from an external platform. And so it's exciting. You all can probably see the little link up here, StreamYard. And so today we are talking about um, when it's time to hire a VA and how to do it. And what's cool about why I chose this particular platform, StreamYard, the external platform, is that I think I can actually share my screen today. So the first thing I want to talk about is a virtual assistant and what they typically do. Like, what is the capacity of a virtual assistant? Now, if you're listening to me live, I want you to comment, ask questions. Whatever it is that you do to let me know that you're engaged. So comment, questions, hashtag live, just let me know that you're here. And if I do not comment immediately, it's because I'm right here with you in this broadcast. So I will be manning the comments afterwards. So especially if you're watching the replay, go ahead and ask your questions, post your comments, so that I can answer any further questions after the VA podcast. Now this is going to be the first of a couple of videos that I do on utilizing virtual assistants and all the ways that you can do so. But I want to do an overview today. And so the first question is when? Well, what does a VA do? What does a VA have the capacity to do? And you'll hear me toggle between virtual assistant and VA. Most of you know what that means. But VAs, they are, I think when I hired my first virtual assistant back in, 2007, it was probably one of the best decisions that I ever made. And that is because the purpose of virtual assistants is to really take weight off of you, take the things off of your plate that really don't need to be on your plate so that you can focus on the exact thing that you need to be focusing on in your business. So you might need to be focusing on creating content. You may need to be focusing on your programs, delivering your programs. You may need to be focusing on the things that actually require your personal attention. But oftentimes we get sidetracked with other things like the administrative stuff that other people can do, posting blog posts or even posting social media posts, or, there are lots of other things, editing videos, all of these types of things we get caught up in doing. And some of these things, or answering phones, returning phone calls, dealing with messages, voice messages from a phone system that you have. All of these things are things that virtual assistants can do. Now, I know that a lot of us who have virtual businesses may not have as much of use for like dedicated phone lines, but some of us do. And email. But if you're running an online course and you need back-end management, virtual assistant can do that. If you're creating content and you need repurposing of content, virtual assistant can do that. If you are creating content and you need blogs posted, virtual assistant can do that. I could go on and on and on. One of the things that I plan to do in the not so far future is interview my virtual assistant so that she can talk about all of the things that she does, even beyond what I have her do, so that you know what it is that virtual assistants truly do. Now, when should you hire a virtual assistant? I say the earlier, the better. When you're not, people think that they don't, there's a lot of misconception that, I don't need a virtual assistant until I get to this point in my business. When the truth is, when you get started, there is something for a virtual assistant to do in your creation process of program, in your creation of content. There is something for a virtual assistant to do. And the wonderful thing about VAs is that they are paid by the time that they work. So it's not like having a traditional front desk manager or front desk assistant in which they are paid by the hour whether or not they work. The virtual assistant pays based on the work that they do. And many virtual assistants will come with packages. So sometimes you'll have virtual assistants that pay strictly, or that you pay strictly by the hour. And then you actually have them clock in their time. And I did that at some point. But most of the virtual assistants will come with pre-packaged programs. And so you can either buy up to 10 hours a month or 20 hours a month or 30 hours a month, or it may even be a weekly, 20 hours a week. However, it depends on what you have them doing. Now I currently have my virtual assistant at 10 hours a month now. I used to have her at 20 hours a month, and before that more. But because I've automated a lot of my things in the background, I don't necessarily need her as much on an ongoing basis. And there are times when I have specific projects. And I'll give you an example. I recently transitioned from one online course platform to another. Now you can imagine I had an entire course uploaded to a particular platform that I was no longer satisfied with. And within a week or two's time, I needed that all transitioned. Now I could have done all of that myself. However, I didn't have time for that. I'm trying to deliver my programs. I'm working on promoting the Mind Remapping and Manifestation Retreat coming up February 1st. We were launching that at the time. It's holiday season. There's so many things. I'm traveling. There's so many things going on. I didn't have a moment to transition an entire course. So what did I do? I called my assistant, Trina. Some of you already know her because some of you I've referred and worked with her. And I asked her to do that for me. And she got it done super quick. And, if there were any little tweaks or adjustments I need, I just would email her or text her and say, hey, can you fix this or can you fix that? And it was done well. It was done great. It was done quickly. And she was very much in communication about where she was and when she was complete. So that was that's one of the things that, sometimes we take on our own and we need to be outsourcing. Another example of a way that I used Trina was before I hired my social media manager. Trina was like the boss of all things posting. So I had a content calendar and a particular scheduled protocol for her to post on blogs, to post newsletter, and to post certain types of content on my Facebook page and in my groups. And when I was just doing Facebook, and even a little bit on LinkedIn, but mostly Facebook. And it was really great because she knew she's worked with me so long. She kind of knew my schedule and what I'd like and all of that. And so I didn't do a lot of my own posting and I still don't actually. Like I don't post my own blogs. I create the content, but I don't do the actual posting. Now my social media person does that. And so as I've grown, I've expanded and shifted the ways that I've used the VA. And at the same time, I have always needed the VA. I always have needed and will continue to use a virtual assistant. Now I have other things that I use virtual assistants for. I have someone who is skilled in video editing. And so this is a virtual assistant who, whenever I do my videos now, will edit for pauses, errors, will edit for, repeats, and then adds an intro and an outro. So this guy is actually very skilled in that. And then I'm actually getting ready to hire another virtual assistant who is going to help me with content repurposing. Right. So you might ask, well, why are you hiring so many virtual assistants? Because one of the things that virtual assistants have started to do. It's almost like how we are in our specialties. There are family practitioners, there are specialists, there are, primary care practitioners, family, internal and medicine, like just all of our primary care specialties, peds. And then there are specialists and subspecialists. And VAs actually tend to do that as well. So some VAs specialize in social media posting and content. Some VAs specialize in editing documents or blog posting or ghostwriting. So article writing. So you sometimes it's better to actually have a team of VAs that can handle the various aspects as you grow your business. Now, I can tell you, I didn't have a video person until maybe about a year and a half ago when I started creating my online modules. And I'll do a whole other video on how to use virtual assistants and video editors to help you to more quickly and efficiently create your online course. If you'd like that, type yes in the comments, and I will schedule that as a teaching, as a video. But you want to look at what is the purpose. So, like, how do you determine what type of VA to hire, and how do you determine what how do you determine who you're going to hire, right? How do you even create that? How do you even create that proposal? So first is, what is the intention? Like, why do you feel like that you need a VA? What is the circumstance that has you think, oh, I could use this VA? What is the purpose for hiring the VA? And you want to get very clear about that, because when you get ready to hire, you want to make sure, even in your hiring process, that you are communicating clearly what you need them to do so you hire the right person for the job. Because there's nothing worse than hiring a virtual assistant that cannot do the job that you need them to do. Once again, that's why I think it's important to consider hiring multiple VAs, because it's not going to make you, it really is not going to cost you that much more. You'll still be using them about the same amount of time, just for different things, right? And when you hire a virtual assistant that has a specialty in something, they're much more efficient in that thing. And they're also much more proficient at that thing, which means they do a better job. So let's look at, there was something I wanted to say about using, there's something I wanted to say about using a virtual assistant with specialty. So if you think about all of the potential things that a virtual assistant can do, all of the things that you can outsource, like I said, video editing and content creation, article writing or ghost writing, posting on social media, all of these things, reception type work, database entry, outreach, potential customer outreach or customer management, right? Client management. I know Dr. Manny is working with Trina, my I say my VA, but now she's our VA, with client management. So there are so many things, of all of the things that you can work with a virtual assistant on. The reason to work with someone who has a specialty in what you do is because if you just hire a general virtual assistant, you spend a lot more time training them on how to do the thing, rather than just, here's someone who is used to doing the thing, and your training is specific to your needs and your protocols and your structures. Now, keep in mind, you have to have those in place. You have to create those. That's one of the things that will make your experience very valuable with a VA, is knowing what you want and knowing that, having the structures and protocols in place, and being very clear in the instruction of that virtual assistant. That's a whole nother video. I'll come back for that. Like, what are the things to really maximize your time and usage and efficiency of a virtual assistant? That'll be another one. Type yes if you want to hear that one. But right now, I want to keep it high level because I want to make sure you all know how to look for a VA. What are the things you want to look for? How do you look for a VA? So the things you want to look for in a virtual assistant: do they have experience? It's cool to give new VAs a chance if it's a very, very simple task. If it's something as simple as like data entry or maybe even answering phones, receptionist work, that kind of thing. But by and large, I have been through enough virtual assistants to know that you want someone who has at least 6 months of experience, and they are a dedicated virtual assistant. What does that mean? That means they are working as a virtual assistant as their primary income. They don't have a part-time job or a full-time job. They're not juggling a job with their business. And there's a reason for that, because especially if you have a virtual assistant who you require to be available during specific hours. Now, if you have a virtual assistant who it doesn't matter what time they work, then yeah, if they have a part-time job, that's cool, right? But by and large, so one of the ways that I used my virtual assistant when I had my integrative medicine practice is as a virtual receptionist. And so I needed a dedicated virtual assistant. That was what she did. So that's one of the things. Do they have experience? At least 6 months. I prefer a virtual assistant that has been doing it for at least a year, preferably 2 or 3, because that way they have their systems down, right? And they also have other clients that I can speak to be able to vet them out. You always want to vet out your virtual assistants, right? Speak to their current clients. I'm always writing reviews or speaking with Trina's prospective clients, because I want to share the experience that I've had with her. It's been a wonderful experience. So that's one thing. You want them to have experience. You want them to have a dedicated workstation. Sometimes you get these VAs and they don't have their system set up. So you can see here, I'm at my desk. I have my little light up. I have a dedicated workstation. I have a dedicated office. Well, so should a VA. It should have a headset, a dedicated computer, a dedicated internet line, fast, high-speed internet line. I don't think there's any low speed anymore, but a dedicated high-speed internet connection. And they are set up professionally. If they're not set up professionally, you want to question that. All right. You want to question that. How do you know they're set up professionally? Well, number one, you ask them. Well, do you have a headset? Do you have this particular app? Whatever you're wanting to do, they might need specific apps. Have you worked with Trello or Asana or Slack before? Have you worked with Infusionsoft? Do you know social media and YouTube? All of these things you want to ask them based on what you want them to do. Have you done receptionist work? Have you worked with virtual phone systems before, right? Dropbox or SugarSync or Ignite, some of the shared boxes. Have you worked with those? So those are the things that you want to ask them. Do they have a dedicated workspace? Do they have a system in place? And another thing is, well, do you have a team? Now, not all virtual assistants will have a team. It'll depend on how experienced they are, how long they've been in the business, how big they've grown their business. But a lot of virtual assistants who've been in the business for a while have people to back them up. If in case they go on vacation or if they get a large influx of work, they have a team in place that they can assign work to. And usually they'll tell you they have a team and ask if it's okay to outsource the work if it is a large amount, so that they can get the work done more efficiently. Because, another thing that can be tough working with a virtual assistant is if you're working with a solopreneur virtual assistant and all of a sudden her or his business starts to grow, then it makes it harder for them to get the work that you need done on time when they're dealing with multiple clients. All right. So that is another thing. So do they have a dedicated station? Do they have a team? Do they have experience? Those are 3 major things that you want to look for in a virtual assistant. Now, before I go to the 4th one, I'm going to show you where I look for virtual assistants, and that is on Upwork. Now you see I already have a post up, but that's for something different. let's see here. So this is Upwork, and Upwork is a place, if you all don't know, where you can find pretty much a freelancer for any, oh, I'm sorry, I need to share my screen so you can see it. Haha. Okay, let me share my screen here. Application window. Okay, now I'm hoping here that you can see my screen. Yep, you can see my screen. Okay, so here is Upwork, and Upwork, as I was saying before, is a platform in which you can find freelancers of pretty much of any capacity. I mean, people find sales professionals, content creators, ghostwriters, accountants, video editors, email marketing people. I mean, like, just all kinds of things. You can see all of the various proposals and their titles over time that I have created, right? But I'm going to focus on this virtual assistant. Let me see if I have here we go. This one was created this year, and this has already been filled, but virtual assistant social media manager. So you can create job posts. You create an account. It's free to create the Upwork account. You can actually create job posts for virtual assistants right on Upwork. And what you do is you sign on to sign up for Upwork. It's free, and then you will go to jobs, and here post a job. Okay, and then it'll prompt you, create a new job post, short-term, part-time, or dedicated long-term work. Now, in a different video, I can go over a lot more detail about what you should put in your post, but suffice it for right now, short-term, I would always start with short-term, part-time work, because you want to test out your VA before you commit to dedicated long-term work. Okay, so I'm going to fake like I'm going to do this. Okay, so virtual assistant needed for ghostwriting. And now, so you want to be very specific in the title, right? So ghostwriting. Now, here is the job category. That's virtual assistant, administrative assistants, but you could also go for content writing or writing tutoring or editing proofreading, right? So that's another place you can go, but I'm going to stick here. And then you put your description in here and any photos of any project images if you have them. So if you want someone to create banners for you, to create banners for you, and you have a logo, you can upload your logo here. If they're a virtual assistant, that's more of a graphic person. Or if you have a video and you want them to chop your video up into content pieces that you can repurpose. Look, you can upload your video here so they can kind of see it. And that way, when they can actually see the work that they are about to do, then they can determine whether they're the right fit. So here you gotta, you put your description in, and like I said, we'll talk a little bit about how to write your description so that you attract the right kind of virtual assistant. Oh, 50 characters. Let's see if I can make 50 characters here. All right. There we go. All right. Then you can see the details: one-time project, ongoing project, complex project. Start with a one-time project. And you can always put in your description, if this goes well, that you would be willing to do more of a long-term commitment, but you want to test them out, right? And then you add questions. You can add questions for them to answer. Okay. You can either select from their suggestions or you can create your own. All right. So these are some of the questions that I've used in the past. If you have done multiple posts in the past, here are some of the questions I've asked in the past. And so let's add a question. Let's just add one, because this is part of the pre-interview in a sense. Always require a cover letter, because a cover letter will tell you a lot about the capability of that virtual assistant. You always are looking even at the application as an interview. And then here are the skills and expertise that you most want in your virtual assistant, right? So I'm just going to do a couple here just so I can move through. Okay. What level experience are you looking for? I typically click intermediate because you want someone with some experience, but the people who are like experts typically are a lot more expensive. And really as you're starting your business, the beginning of your business, you want to be cost conscious. And then I always click worldwide and then add the specific regions. Virtual assistants I tend to like are out of, of course, the Americas. And I love the virtual assistants out of the Philippines are amazing. And of course, what's really nice about virtual assistants out of the Philippines is they tend to be very proficient in English as well. So let's just go there. And then visibility, who can see your job posts? I usually recommend only Upwork Talent. Sometimes you create a job for someone who's very specific, so you can go in like invite only. How many freelancers, one versus multiple, and talent preferences, which basically, let's see, okay, right. So I'm not going to do a talent preference here. And then here's where you get to pay by the hour. Fixed price, more than 6 months, 3 to 6 months, 1 to 3 months. I would start with 1 to 3 months because again, that's a tester. 30 days is about long enough to see if the virtual assistant is a fit. And then more or less than 30 hours a week, I always click less to start. And boom, there's a post right there. Okay. Now I'm going to come out of that. And stop sharing here. Yes. So, social media content creator. So the going rate for a social media content creator varies. It varies based on how many social media channels you want them to manage. It can start at as little as $1,000 a month, all the way up to $5,000 or $10,000 a month. Now, I'm definitely not at the $5,000 or $10,000 a month level, just so you know. But if you want them totally involved and managing your social media, the more involved they are, the more it will cost. But I would say around $1,000 is probably the minimum for a couple of channels of management. But it's for sure worth it if you have your content streamlined and you have your content strategy and your marketing strategy in place. That is the key. You have to have a marketing strategy and a content strategy in place. And that's one of the things that I teach all of my participants in the Employer to Entrepreneur program that I run here. So that is how you go about posting for a virtual assistant. And look, there are other platforms like Freelancer. I think there's a couple of other ones that are out there, but Upwork is probably the one that has the most freelancers and the most quality freelancers that I have experienced, and a couple of my colleagues as well have experienced. You can get like really small stuff done on Fiverr, but you do get what you pay for. So you want to be conscious of going to Fiverr for really big VA projects, because the people on Fiverr are probably not as experienced. Some of them are like the little graphic stuff you can go on Fiverr and get done, but big projects, long-term projects, you want to just be mindful. You can't vet them out as much, and you could end up wasting dollars, even if it's a small amount of dollars, wasting dollars going back and forth, revisions and such. So that is the overview of when to hire a VA, what VAs do, what they have the capacity to do, what to look for in a virtual assistant, and how to actually set up an Upwork post to find one. Wow. I think that was a lot today. And we already identified several other potential topics around VAs and around other marketing type and workflow type topics. So post in the comments your takeaway. Post your takeaways in the comments, and let me know if there are other questions that you have. I will be manning them and maybe create a whole nother Facebook Live from them. Just so you know, we do have space for our hot seat coaching for next week. So, hey, if you want some hot seat coaching, get in there, comment, let me know, message me something, because we've got January is almost full. We've got next week available. And of course, if you want to know a little bit more about how I help physicians and medical professionals transform their mindset and leverage their skill set and create their ideal businesses, you can go to the website, which is drmaisha.com. And y'all, the mind remapping and manifestation retreat is almost full. Okay, we have 2 slots left, 2 slots. So I'll post the link for that. Who's going to take those last 2 slots? Who's going to take those last 2 slots? So anyway, I look forward to seeing you guys on the next live, and looking forward to seeing your comments and answering your questions, and for the next video to empower you all in this whole business marketing, taking it to the next level game that we're playing for 2020. All right, y'all, have a great rest of the day and a great rest of the week. Namaste.